Have you ever wondered why so many startups, so many new products just fail? I mean, people spend months, sometimes years, pouring everything they have into building what they think is the perfect product, only to launch and nothing. It's a massive, high-stakes gamble. But what if there was a better way, a smarter, more scientific approach to building a business that flips the script? What if you could trade all that guesswork for actual data? Well, let's get into it.
Okay, so look at these two mindsets. On one side, you've got the classic build it and they will come approach. You go into a cave for a year, build the perfect thing, and then have this one big dramatic launch. Total bet the company move. But on the other side, you have this radically different idea. Start with the absolute simplest, most basic version you can. Get in front of real customers right away, see what they do, and then just iterate. Fast. It's not just a new process, it's a completely different way of thinking. So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll unpack what this smarter way of building really is. Then, we'll get into the engine that makes it all run, the build, measure, learn loop. After that, we'll talk about the single biggest decision any founder has to make. And finally, we'll see how you can put this whole system to work for you. So, what is this smarter way I keep talking about? It's methodology called the lean startup, and honestly, it's completely changed the game for how to develop businesses and products. So the whole idea, which comes from Eric Ries, is to take the risk out of building something new. Instead of just relying on your gut feeling and these huge, elaborate business plans, you use a scientific process. You run experiments, you get feedback, and you learn your way through all that crazy uncertainty that every new project faces. This quote right here, this is the core mindset shift. Think about it. The number one job of a startup isn't just to build things or even to make money right off the bat. The number one job is to learn. You have to learn who your customers are, what they actually want, and how to build a real sustainable business around delivering that value. So how does that learning actually happen? It's not random. It happens inside a powerful, continuous feedback loop. This is the absolute heart of the entire lean startup methodology. And this is it, the build, measure, learn engine. It's a cycle. You start with an idea. You build a really simple experiment to test that idea. You measure exactly how your customers respond, and then you learn from that data, which then fuels your next idea. It's a loop designed to make you learn as fast as possible, so you waste as little time and money as possible. Let's start with build. Now, it is so important to get this right. We are not talking about building your final, all the bells and whistles product. The only thing that matters here is speed. You have to ask yourself, what is the absolute fastest, cheapest thing I can create to start learning? That thing is what we call the minimum viable product, or MVP. Now, an MVP is not a sloppy, buggy prototype. No, it's the simplest, most stripped-down version of your product that actually works and delivers that one core piece of value to a customer. It's a tool designed to answer your biggest questions. Is this a real problem for people? Does my idea actually solve it? An MVP gets you real answers from the real world, not from a conference room. And check out this classic example. The Dropbox founders knew that building the actual file syncing tech would be insanely hard. So did they build it? No. They made a simple 3-minute video that just showed how it would work. They were testing one simple hypothesis. Do people even want this? The result? 75,000 people signed up for the beta list overnight. They proved their idea was a winner before writing a single line of production code. And then there's Zappos. Back when buying shoes online sounded like a crazy idea, did they go out and build a giant warehouse and stock it with thousands of shoes? Of course not. The founder just went to local shoe stores, took pictures of their shoes, and put them on a basic website. When someone bought a pair, he'd literally run to the store, buy the shoes, and ship them himself. This super simple MVP proved their entire business model would work with almost no money up front. Okay, so once you've built your MVP and people are using it, you hit the measure phase. But this is crucial. Not all data is useful. You have to focus on what we call actionable metrics, data that actually helps you make a decision, and completely ignore what are called vanity metrics. Here's exactly what I mean. We got 100,000 page views. That feels amazing, right? It's a huge number for a PowerPoint slide. But what do you do with that information? Does it tell you what to build next? Not really. But a metric like our 4-week user retention is 45%. Now that is powerful. That tells you if people are sticking around, if your product has real value, it gives you a clear signal. And that leads us to the most important stage of the loop, learn.
This is where you look at those actionable metrics you just gathered and you face the moment of truth. Based on real evidence, was your big idea right? And this forces you to make one of two choices. You either persevere, meaning you double down on your current path, or you pivot, which is a structured, strategic change in direction. But you can probably see the challenge here, right? Running this cycle over and over again. I mean, you've got hypotheses, MVP specs, metrics, what you learned. How do you keep track of all of that? It's way too easy to get completely buried in a mess of spreadsheets, sticky notes, and random documents. And this is exactly the problem that a tool like FounderScope was built to solve. You have to think of it as your command center for the entire build, measure, learn cycle. It gives you a structured place to design and document your experiments, a way to track the metrics that actually matter for each test, and a system to turn all that raw data into a clear, confident decision. So let's zoom in on that critical decision, because this is the moment that can literally make or break a new company. Just imagine, you run your MVP test with 100 users. It's been 4 weeks. You log in and you check your most important metric. Customer retention is at 45%. So, what do? Is 45% good? Is it bad? Does this mean you hit the gas and persevere? Or is this a red flag telling you it's time to pivot? The answer, depends on your goals. But this is the kind of tough, real-world question the learn phase forces you to answer with data, not just hope. And this is where a tool built for this process becomes your best friend. It takes so much of the emotion and guesswork out of the equation. A platform like FounderScope gives you that data-driven clarity. For example, it has a pivot log, so every time you make a big strategic change, it's documented. You're always building on a foundation of proven, validated learning, not just a gut feeling you had in the shower. All right, let's pull all these pieces together. Let's see how the lean startup methodology, combined with the right tool, creates a complete system for success. This table right here is the aha moment. Just look at how every single core principle of lean startup maps directly to a feature inside a purpose-built system like FounderScope. That build, measure, learn cycle, it's literally an experiment to learning's workflow. Validated learning isn't just a vague idea. It's a status you can set to validated or invalidated. You can plan your MVP experiments, you can log your pivots, and you can focus on truly actionable metrics like your value proposition canvas fit scores or the all-important LTV to CAC ratio. FounderScope isn't just another project management tool. It's an operating system designed specifically for this method. So how do you actually start? It's really just a simple 4-step process. First, define your riskiest, most important hypothesis and document it in FounderScope. Second, design a simple MVP to test it. Third, run that experiment and be disciplined about recording your results and what you learned. And finally, use that data to make your first confident, informed decision. Do we pivot or do we persevere? A platform like FounderScope is designed to walk you right through each of those steps. And that really leaves us with one last thought. The biggest advantage of this whole approach is speed. The speed to learn and the speed to find what actually works. So let me ask you, if you could get real, hard data on your biggest business idea next week, instead of spending the next year building it in the dark, what's the first simple thing you would build?